So I want to paint a scene for you guys. It's a couple days after October, a couple days after Halloween. You've trick-or-treated, you're getting fat on candy. So what are we going to do now? We're going to get fat, and we're going to sit down, open up the new Call of Duty, and what are we going to do? We're going to shoot each other! My friends, it's more fucking American than that. No, but I did want to talk about the new Call of Duty which just came out. If you didn't know about it, well, you're probably a terrorist. But what you did know is that this one, like every other Call of Duty game that there ever was, is gonna be different. This is gonna be new. This is gonna be like Sam Smith or Miley Cyrus. It's gonna be great. But is it? Well, I don't know. I've played a couple hours of it now, about 3, and I'm going to try and do my best to tell you guys whether or not it's worth your $60. So I'm going to start with one of the bad things, and in this case, this only applies to the PC port, but I'm going to talk about mouse acceleration. The mouse acceleration in this game is a little bit screwed up, and mouse acceleration in any game is so important, but in first-person shooters it is imperative that you have good mouse acceleration, and for it to be screwed up is almost unforgivable. Now what I mean by this is that you could be walking around, maybe not even doing anything crazy with your mouse, but then suddenly, got you, bam, your mouse is, kind of run off and your FOV is like somewhere else where it wasn't supposed to be, and that can't happen because what ends up happening is that you get killed when you shouldn't be killed, and it is so frustrating. And within just the 3 hours or so that I've played of the multiplayer, I've had this happen at least 3 or 4 times, and it's just unforgivable. It's so irritating. Now that just happens to be kind of one of my little quips. I know you guys are probably interested in what's really different about this game, which are the exosuits and all this kind of futuristic stuff, which really plays into the customization of the game. In doing your kind of class setup, you have your typical perks and things, and there are some new ones in there that kind of, throw things and jumble things up. But then you have these things called exo abilities, and what these do is they provide these new abilities that are very, very special, kind of almost Crysis-esque. If you've ever played Crysis, there are things where you can turn invisible, there are abilities where you can walk faster, there are abilities where you can heal, there are abilities where you can actually have this almost portable riot shield for a few seconds as well. Now what these things all do together is that they add to the overall uniqueness of the class with the perks 15 system, the perk 13 I should say, which by the way I love. There used to be the pick 10 I believe, but now it's pick 13, so you can go even further with the class customization. Is that with the wild cards you can have 2 extra abilities. So maybe you want to combine the shield and the healing so that maybe you're in a tight spot, you want to put up the shield, that gives you some time to use the other ability to heal, and then you can just go ahead and jump back into the fight. There's probably a million different ways you can mix and match all this stuff, and what really, at the end of the day, it comes down to is what really works for you. As for the guns, as far as the sounds go, they all sound like they're shooting Fruity Pebbles. I mean, the guns sounds not that great, not like Battlefield or something like that, but, it's still satisfying when you get a kill, even though it doesn't really sound like you're shooting anything but air, but again, not the biggest deal when you look at the whole picture. So yeah, not the biggest picture. Now, they do have a variety of guns. Really, really huge variety in this one. My favorite are these different heavy guns. There's like a class of heavy weapons, which are all very, very unique in and of themselves. There's one from the top of my head that is very, very accurate gun. Another are these 2 sort of cannon things, which you should see a clip of pretty soon, which are so inaccurate, but you can just keep firing for days until you kill the person, and with the ability to jump around, that can really work into your favor. The last of the heavy guns that I had available to me at the time of recording this was this kind of laser beam gun, which I imagine is probably going to end up being sort of like the noob tube of this Call of Duty. For one reason only, it has no ammunition, so it can just keep going. It does have a point where it overheats and you can't use it for a few seconds, but that really doesn't stop you from killing a whole bunch of people before that happens. Essentially, all you really have to do, and this goes the same for the 2 cannon guns that are really inaccurate, is just hold down your mouse button, jump around until you kill the person, and then you're done. Bing, bada, boom. I could definitely see people getting mad at this. I don't really care because I'm not that anal about these things, but obviously there already is somebody who is that anal about these things. Now, as far as the maps go, there's a huge variety of them. A lot of them are indoor and outdoors, so you have great chances to get into close quarter combat, but if that's not really for you, you can also stay outside and go for more long-range things. One of the additions that they did make, which has to do with the kind of exosuit and how you jump around, is now nothing is linear. You can be jumping everywhere. It really doesn't work in your favor to just run and gun or, you know, run around like you used to be able to do in the Call of Duties. It's completely different, and people who can't adapt to that are not going to do well in this game on multiplayer. Personally, I don't like the fact that you can just jump around, especially in close combat situations where you're close to the person. It gets very awkward because all you do is jump around until somebody runs out of ammo or somebody kills the other person. But at the same time, this is where one of those things where maybe 3 hours into the game with this huge of a change is just not enough to get used to it. Maybe a couple weeks from now, we'll all be really advanced and versatile with the jumping mechanism, and we'll all be able to control our gunfire with it. But right now, more than anything, I know it's supposed to serve as this kind of extra level of versatility. You can jump over things, you can be on top of buildings, but right now, it's just a little chaotic for me, and I don't like it. That might change in the weeks to come, as people get used to things, but for now, it's just not for me. Although I do have to admit, while you're jumping around, it's hard to see the graphics, which, you know, in this case, aren't that huge of a step up. Not that big of a step up, which, again, you know, isn't one of the most important things, but it is nice to be able to look at something beautiful. You know, you look at Battlefield, it's such a gorgeous game, you know, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter because Call of Duty, it's so fast-paced, you're not paying attention to those things. I get it. But now the question is, at the end of the day, is it worth your $60? Well, that's an interesting question. I think overall, the gameplay, the mechanics, all that, while very, very new, it's good. It's refreshing. It's nice to have something that isn't the typical Call of Duty. And in some places, it falls a little short. It doesn't work out in-game the way it does on paper, like with the jumping. But again, that might change. The gun sounds not that satisfying. Everything else, pretty good. The score streaks, the perks, everything is all there. Everything that you'd want in a Call of Duty game is still there. So if you've fallen in love with the series like I have, you're still going to like it. You may not like the new things, but at its core, Call of Duty is still Call of Duty. The important thing to remember is that it's never going to be the game changer that it once was. Everything that could possibly be done at that point is probably been done to some degree in this game. So at the end of the day, it's not the most innovative thing, but it is so much fun to just sit down, run and gun all day, just let your stresses out. And for that reason, I don't think that it's worth $60 every single year to pick up the new one, but this game in and of itself is definitely worth the $60, definitely worth your time you'll put into it, because if you're like me, you're going to put well over 50, probably even over 100 hours into this game, easily, before you even begin to get tired of it. But again, this is all just my perspective. At the end of the day, it's what you feel, what you think, what you like about the game. And so you can go ahead and purchase it for yourself. There's plenty of videos on YouTube online. I will even begin uploading some different Call of Duty things. I've been getting really into first-person shooters, so you can always expect some more of that from this channel. So, I look forward to you guys deciding for yourself, and I will see you guys on the other side.